Hey guys, Tisha here, and we're here for the season finale of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Y'all, I was a little disappointed. It has some good bits to it, but I'm tired of Bravo fooling us with these trailers because I really was expecting to see more of this woman by the name of Ty that Drew is alleged to have done something with, and I feel like we didn't get that. So why even bother showing it in the trailer? So we begin this episode with us seeing that filming wrapped up in the end of January, but here we are in March, and we now know that Drew and Ralph are separated. Well, not separated, they're going through a divorce. And production is basically asking, like, we could tell something was going on with you all season. What exactly is going on? We get a little review of the things that happened this season, and then we jump to a montage of the different ladies and the things that are going on. And I'm gonna stop and start with Sanya. So we see Sanya at Dr. Jackie's office to have an ultrasound done because the last time that she went to Dr. Jackie's, she was too soon to see anything. They couldn't see the sac or anything, so she came back to basically have a follow-up. And out of all people, she invites Marlo because Ross couldn't come. And I didn't understand why she invited Marlo. I didn't know y'all were that close. For this beautiful moment, rather than asking your mom or your dad or your sister to come, you chose Marlo. Very interesting to me. We see the ultrasound, we see Marlo joking around, we see her asking her to film, and we then see Dr. Jackie come in. Dr. Jackie lets it be known to Sanya that she wished that she would have waited to around 12 weeks before she let her son know, but it's a bit too late for that. Marlo said, yeah, she agrees. She said something too quickly. Why did she tell everyone so soon? And she was like, she was just really excited, which I understand that. We know that later on, we see that Sanya has a miscarriage at 7 weeks, which is very unfortunate. One of the things that they worry about, which is why they call it a geriatric pregnancy, is that first trimester is crucial. And honestly, it's crucial for any woman. Far more women than what people realize have had miscarriages, some knowingly and some unknowingly. And it's sad that she had to go through that. She talked later in the episode about how traumatic it was because she lost a lot of blood and Ross wasn't there, and how it was hard for her to let Deuce know because he used to pray to her belly every night and ask God to protect his baby sister. But even though they went through all of that, we know that she's pregnant again and her baby is due in December. It's so many babies due in December. I have 3 friends that have children that are due in December. What were y'all doing all around the same time? Anyways, we see Drew talking to Ralph in her bed about being tired. Meanwhile, Ralph says he doesn't understand why she's tired. Drew's like, from filming. He's like, you tired from filming a couple sex scenes? That doesn't work. Ralph is so indifferent when it comes to Drew and so inconsiderate that it makes no sense. We find out that Ralph moved out of the room. He says it's because of how late Drew comes in from set. But we already knew that he moved out because Drew said that he moved out to the doctor during her last session, and that wasn't mentioned. She made it seem like he moved out for other reasons because they can't get along. So I need you all to get your story straight. If we're going with this whole he moved out because of the job thing and how late she comes in, my question to you is, Ralph, do you move out every time she gets a gig? Because I doubt you do. She asked him, now that she's done with filming, if he knows when he plans on moving back, and he says he doesn't know. Drew, he doesn't want to be in your bed. And he wants to hurt you because he knows that him not being in the room with you bothers you, despite what he says later on in the episode about how convenient it is for the both of you all. That's not true, because everything that the both of you all do is tit for tat. I feel like this is his way of trying to control her, and he doesn't like her, and he doesn't protect her. He's a joke. It just seems like he always wants to have the upper hand, or she wants to have the upper hand, and I just don't feel like that's how things work. Drew lets him know that Courtney did call him a B, and she shows him the video, and he basically said that he doesn't understand what the problem is because other people like Candy and I think he said Marlo and Kenya have called her a B too, so why is this a big deal now? What do you mean, why is it a big deal now? That's supposedly supposed to be your cousin. I'm not with Drew on making it seem like this is such a big problem and like your problem should be her problems and vice versa, because Drew does tend to put 20 on 10. But I do understand her frustration in saying like, look, your supposed cousin called me out of my name and was being disrespectful when talking about me, and him acting like it's not a big deal. They go downstairs and Allison can see that something's wrong. So she asks her if everything is okay. And she tells Allison, like, you know, even though she said that she didn't call me a B, I have a video that says that she did. And Drew, I just feel like this is a whole, like, why are we even doing this? But anyways, Ralph comes down. Ralph then in front of the sister tries to act like he's so concerned when he wasn't concerned upstairs. They talk about the situation, and he says to Allison, well, you called her a B before. And Allison checks him real quick and says that it's irrelevant. Like, whether she called her a bee or a banana, if she has a problem with it, then you should take into consideration how she's feeling. Drew acts overly dramatic and she walks off. Allison wants to know why he's stressing her out. And I'm just still sitting here wondering why this is a thing. Like, to run off crying and to say you're embarrassing me and want to take off your mic pack. Like, Drew, this has been an ongoing thing with you all the entire season. He's been embarrassing you. He's been embarrassing you since you guys have been on the show. We see Sheree with Tiara, and she's talking about her fibroids and how she's trying to avoid surgery despite all of the cosmetic surgery that she has already had. It makes entirely no sense to me that you're okay with going under the knife to enhance your breasts and to do whatever augmentation that you've done to your nose and your face, fillers, whatever. You did something because you look different. You're okay with doing that. You've admittedly said on TV that you've gotten your breasts done more than once, but you don't want to have surgery for your fibroids. Something that can cause heavier bleeding, something that can cause more painful cramps, something that can cause other issues internally if it continues to grow, but you care more about your breasts, whatever. She then talks about the young lady that we found out is Bob's daughter, and Tiara confirms that she knew. So next, we go to Kenya and we see Kenya at her home, and her father comes and Kenya lets him know, like, I've been talking about it with Brooklyn, which I don't know why you keep talking about this with Brooklyn. These women really include their children on things that I don't feel like the children should be included on. But she's talking about it with Brooklyn about expanding his family, and the father immediately is like, no, you almost died with the first one. Why would you want to have another one? And she wants to start over. And she lets him know, like, don't worry, I wouldn't be carrying the baby. It would be from the embryos that I have already saved up, and it would be a surrogate would carry the child. And he says, okay, that sounds a lot better. I cannot relate to this storyline because my child is 16. And I cannot imagine having to start all over again intentionally. It's just now, well, maybe if I were in a relationship and my man didn't have children, but he has children, so I don't have to worry about that. But if I were in a situation where he didn't, then that would maybe be a consideration. But to just be like, yes, I'm close to 50 and I want to have another child. Ooh, y'all, I can't imagine waking up every two. Anyways, she wants to have another one. She just says that she worries about whether it's a good idea or not because of Mark. Either way, she wants to let Mark know because she's concerned about what can happen of it. And Kenya, you don't got to worry about what Mark's going to do. I can tell you what he's going to do. You try to have that kid and it's going to be an issue. Y'all can't even agree on a divorce. Do you think that he's going to agree for you to utilize your embryos to have another child? When he halfway sees the one that you all have, he's going to want to block you at any cost. We see Marlo at Lay Archive with Scott Lee, and I don't understand the purpose of this scene. I got irritated because you all can show Marlo this whole time talking about how she styled Tammy, who's Tammy. I love Tammy, but her fashion sometimes are questionable, and how she's going to style Garcelle and some other people with her Lay Archive used merchandise. But you won't show Kenya, who built a salon from the ground up, and allow us to see the different steps of that. You gave her a 20-second clip. And then we were wondering why Kenya's speaking out the way that she is. She's frustrated, and I feel like she has every reason to feel that way. Anyways, they're at Lay Archive, and Scott Lee comes, and even though Scott Lee has been gone for a week, they embrace each other with the hug that I would give my friend. No kiss on the lips, no nothing like that. But you guys want us to really think that y'all are dating. I don't know. I hope that they are, but I don't see it. Some of it to me seems kind of manufactured with the way that they embrace, because we've seen Marlo be more touchy-feely with women than she is with Scott Lee. So I don't get it. Anyways, we then cut to Ralph and Drew going to therapy, and the doctor, what's his name? Is it Dr. Ken? Dr. Ken is asking, like, how are things going? And Ralph says that things are better since he changed rooms. When asked how they feel about this, Drew says that she feels alone, and he says that he feels liberated. If your wife is telling you that she feels alone, how could this be better? You really don't care about Drew. You really don't like her. Drew disagrees and says that she doesn't feel like it's better, that it's even beginning to affect the children. She then pulls out a text message where JoJo is basically complaining and saying that his siblings can't even sleep in their rooms because he won't allow them to sleep in the room. So you moved out and took over one of your kids' room, and you want us to think that everything is great? What? He talks about how it's not a concern, that, it's better because Drew likes to sleep at 80-something degree temperature. He likes it 60-something degrees. He just feels like he can breathe in this fresh air, and all these other things about how much happier he is apparently being in his child's room than he is being in a room with his wife. What in the world? He says that he doesn't think it's bad that her best friend and her husband sleep in different rooms. And Drew says, yeah, and they've also filed for divorce. And his response is, who doesn't file for divorce? What? Dr. Ken is shaking his head and looking at him like he's crazy, because the manipulation is real. And honestly, it's no point in doing this, because people like Drew and Ralph, when it's like this, unless you're going to be really, really honest about what's going on, why even film it? Why even show us? We get to seeing the ladies and gentlemen get ready for the premiere of The Past. Even though Todd only wanted there to be 100 people, 200 people RSVP'd. We see that the event space looks nice. Like Don Juan even had like the Hollywood stars put on the ground with the different stars' names, and it looks cute. We see that people like T.I. and Tiny and Ty, who's in the WNBA, and Mama Joyce and some other people were there in attendance. We then see that Courtney is there, and Courtney tries to embrace Allison, and Allison ain't going for it. Allison said, we're not going to do this fake kissy stuff. We're going to talk. I don't see it for you. Courtney pulls her to the side, and she says, you lied to me and said that you didn't call my sister a B, but you called my sister a B. And she says that she didn't call her a B, but then later on towards the end of the conversation, said that she used the B word as a reference. She apologizes, but says in confessional that she only apologized to get Drew out of her face because she's over it. No, you apologized because you didn't really want the smoke. And I'm kind of glad that she did, because that wasn't the space to have that conversation anyway. You could tell Candy was like, y'all better not do it here. Courtney then after apologizing says, you never called your sister a B before. And Allison says, you've been talking to Ralph, because that's something that Ralph would say. And once again, even if she did call her sister a B, that's her sister. What does one situation have to do with the other? Once again, Ralph is not a safe space, because you just found out that this person is your cousin, and you feel it's a good idea to talk about your wife to your cousin. We then see the trailer. The crowd's response is really great. And I will say, I watched the movie The Past. It's on Peacock. If you guys haven't seen it, go watch it just to support, Candy and Todd and their whole production thing. And I will say this. When watching the movie, at a certain point, I could figure out some of the things that were happening. I had an idea as to what was going on, but I didn't understand the extent of it until the end. And the way that they ended it lets you know that there could be a possibility for a sequel, which I think is awesome. I feel like they did a really good job, that despite them filming it in 10 days, it looks phenomenal. That I could see it on Lifetime. I could see it on Lifetime. And if they add a little bit more layers to it, I can even see it in the movie, because it was good. Like, I feel like I want to see a little bit more character development as far as some of the characters are concerned. But overall, it was really good, and I would watch it again. Drew then performs her song. She did a good job filming raps. We then see clips of Marlo reading about Drew filing for divorce and him filing for divorce, and them stating that they just couldn't make it work. And we hear about Ty meeting Drew on set, and we hear about this whole party thing that happened. They're saying how like a week before they both filed, that they were at a party for Ralph, celebrating Ralph, and then Ty, who is being accused of messing with Drew, was at that party. And Monyetta brings out about how they were talking, and Monyetta said, Drew said that if things don't work out with her and Ralph, that she would love to be with her crush Ty. And they laughed about it, and it was a joke. And I'll be honest, like, I don't like women, but Ty is cute. If I were to go that way, hey, Ty. Ty got a little bit of swag to her. I think she's a cheater, according to her fiance, her ex-fiance, but that's a whole nother story. We see Drew because Drew arrives to get her stuff done for her confession, and Sheree's just wrapping up. And Drew talks to Kenya on FaceTime about the divorce. Kenya lets her know she's here for her and she'll support her. Sheree comes in the room, talks to her, lets her know that she too has been through a divorce and she's there to support her. And as they're talking, we find out that Sheree lost her father 2 days ago, and she begins to cry. And they embrace. One thing about these ladies is they're not really friends, but during certain times you do see them come together. And you could tell that Drew felt that in that moment when she was talking to Sheree, especially the father piece, because we know that Drew's father has Alzheimer's and got to the point where he wasn't even talking and stuff. And I'm not sure if he's passed. I think he may have passed since. If he hasn't, forgive me. I'm not trying to put that out there. But Drew could, you know, empathize with what Sheree was talking about. We see that they gave Ralph time to do a confessional. And Ralph says that he's the one who asked Drew for the divorce. And Drew says that she asked for the divorce because of infidelity and he doesn't respect her and the way he talks to her. And when asked certain questions, the both of them say that they have to talk to their attorneys. But apparently Courtney doesn't have a problem spilling what's going on. Courtney got caught on a hot mic. She said that Drew is a good time and that she's bisexual. But she talked to Ralph about it and he said he's okay with it. According to Courtney. Which, how okay can he be with it if he doesn't want to talk about it? But okay. Courtney says that Drew visits her girlfriend in Texas and that Ralph has a lot of discovery. That Courtney even has photos that have been taken and that are in her phone. But she didn't mean to put that on camera. She don't want to put that on camera. This is just what happens when you get vodka in her system. And I wonder why, out of all people, Courtney has these photos. Seems like a setup to me. Courtney proceeds to say that Drew wanted Ralph to adopt JoJo so she could cheat and be with her lesbian lover. What are you talking about? Because you're saying that she wanted him to adopt him so she can go off and do what she wanted to do and cheat and all that other stuff. When earlier in the episode, we hear that Drew only got an hour of sleep because Ralph wasn't willing to take JoJo to school. So how would that even benefit the situation? Because he's not a hands-on dad. Remember, he doesn't do daddy daycare. That's Todd's thing. Courtney, you sound stupid. And the fact that you brought up the child and that adoption, that's a low blow to me. Like, say what you want to say, but don't talk about the kids. It was no point in you even saying that. Drew says that the rumors about Ty come from Ralph. And at this point, who knows who they come from? We get a rundown of everybody and where they are and all that other stuff. And that's it. Overall, this season kind of disappointed me. I wanted more. Hopefully, Bravo switches some things up. And I'm not just talking about production, but I'm talking about the cast as well. I feel like certain things should be expected from the cast. And with the amount of money that some of these ladies are making, that they should give us like real things rather than this fabricated mess. And if you're not willing to do it, then just don't show us any part of it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Oh, I reached 101 subscribers. Woo, 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 woo. I was excited to see that. Thank you guys so much for your time. We'll see how we feel about this reunion that's only 2 parts. Until next time.